how to supercharge your teaching with AI. So it's incredibly important that we embrace new tools and embrace new ways that can really allow us to help students create more durable learning. So because we want students to be able to uh, leave our classrooms, go out into their jobs, wherever it may be, and use the content that they're learning and have practice within our classes and utilize within our classes and be able to solve really complex problems. And we want them to be able to do it in a way from where they're thinking from both their critical thinking skills and their creative thinking skills. So creating that durable learning and that interactive, active learning, or not interactive, active, but active learning scenarios, we really want our students to be able to rely on that and then be able to use their critical thinking skills and their creative thinking skills to solve these very complex issues, because there's a lot of complex issues out there. I would say most are complex issues. And the thing about it now, if we take a look, is we are not looking at removing the professor from the room. That is not what we're trying to accomplish. When we talk about bringing AI into the fold, into the loop, that means just creating a more dynamic way for students to be able to engage with another tool that helps them grow more. And there's multiple ways that we can go about that. Your generative pre-trained transformer or any GPT can do a really nice job. If we're going to talk about in a few moments ethics, they have to really fit the ethical construct of your school, your university, and they also have to really not allow data to be used. We have to be FERPA compliant, and any tool that we use has to be FERPA compliant as well. So we're going to dive into that. So let's take a look. First, we're going to look at lesson planning. Then we're going to look at personalized learning. And it's kind of hard to separate those two. So I'm going to show you how we do it, how we think it through within the course vision document, and then we'll get into the ethics right away as well. But first, I want to bring your attention to, we have two really neat things that are happening. And the first one is our AI in action, compete, learn, lead. That is our conference that we're having. So we're holding an AI conference. If you'd like to, if you would like to attend that conference or present at that conference, simply scan the QR code there or go to our links will be in the description or in a comment below this. Go into the AI in Action conference and feel free to sign up to speak. We have 15-minute deep dives and 5-minute flares, which are recorded. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And that happens on April 30th. And that's done in conjunction with the coolest thing that we have going on is our AI case competition. Now, you're not designing a technological breakthrough of any type. It's a business case, and you're going to work a business case that would come up with open-ended and the most creative solution, the team that comes up with the most creative and critically thought out solution will win $500. Second place, $300, and third place is $200. So scan here and sign up. Teams, you can be a team of 1 through 4. So up to 4. So have a good time with this. Come in and hopefully win and give your best. The worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to have a really great time. You'll be able to go to the conference as well. And if you're a student and you would like to possibly present, submit to see if you can present. And then we would be happy to give you that position to be able to do that. So let's now get into my favorite piece, which is, dun, 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 this is our part of our course vision document. And what we have here, so we go through all the stuff, all learning objectives, all that is up on top. We're not here to look at all that good stuff. We're here to look at incorporating AI, artificial intelligence. And when we talk about it in our world, we're talking about generative AI, GPTs at this point. Not talking on this live stream about agentic AI. We're talking about generative AI, and what we can do with it is super simple. How we can bring it in. So first we start by in the incorporation of AI is how is it used in the career field? In this case, it's psychology career field. So we went through and found where it's used within the psychology career field. But then now we're looking at, okay, so within Psych 355, how can we use this? And we do the same whether it's a professional development course we're making, a higher education course we're making, whatever it is. We follow the same thought process for how we can utilize AI. So the first thing we do is, after we figure out what is done within the actual field, then we come in, okay, now how can we incorporate that, or how can we incorporate active learning strategies within the course? And here, notice you have your AI enhanced case study. So you have your AI tool technique. What tool or technique you're going to use? What is the active learning strategy? What is AI's role? Student engagement. How are they going to engage? Why do they care? And then the outcome that you expect. So what's cool here is, this is one of my favorites is chatbot role play. So student participants role play exercises where they act as counselors addressing clients with substance disorders. And then we talk about, okay, they should act as a simulated client. That's what the AI piece should do. And it's going to organically respond and behave in specific ways. And then what do we have here? We have the student engagement. Students going to engage in a back and forth dialogue, because no matter what, we want dialogue. Dialogue is the key. So no matter how you're utilizing artificial intelligence within your classroom, you want students to have that dialogue. Because, it's not like going into ChatGPT and say, okay, I put in a prompt and this is what I want, and boom, and it gives you whatever it is. That's not good for durable learning. So we use Nectar, and we created all of our assistant bots to be a back and forth, to be a Socratic assistant, and it works really well because we found some amazing. The research we've done shows some pretty amazing outcomes that we're publishing, and that's a story for another live stream, but that will be a whole lot of fun. So as you think about that, then take a look here. We have 12 Steps Chatbot, and they're going to interview the mind on addiction. So that's kind of how this one chatbot role play iterated. So it went from basically the students going to be having a role play going back and forth with a person. And we said, what would be kind of cool is if they actually had a back and forth, a conversation with a mind that is affected by addiction, and get the mind's perspective of it rather than the person's perspective. So that was kind of out of the box and crazy. So we're in the process of building that right now. And then we're going to test it and see how it works. So the subject matter expert, the professor, the assistant dean, they are all there to help and to test all this out to make sure it works. So once again, we're not taking people out of the loop. We're simply bringing AI into the loop. And we're coming up with a lot of fun stuff, a lot of active learning. We think pair shares are pretty big as well. So let's take a look at this one. So review and feedback. AI gives feedback to the student on a particular assignment. So that's fairly simple, fairly straightforward. You give your assignment to somebody, to an AI, and it gives you feedback. And it's all within our LMS through the use of Nectar, how we have Nectar within our LMS. Then we have AI generated ethical dilemma scenarios. So all of these are here. Create a chatbot even, and then our think, pair, share, where they're given something to think about, pair up with the AI assistant. And when they pair up, then they have that conversation, that back and forth again, and they share out in like a discussion forum what they learned. So that's really powerful. And what that does for our students is, instead of the student wondering, being curious, oh man, is it okay to use AI? Can I do this? Can I do that? We're saying, hey, you're going to use it in your life, at work, everywhere else. You're already using it in life, work, and everywhere else. So we're going to teach them how to use it ethically and use it within education as well to create that more durable learning. Because once that more durable learning takes into effect, guess what happens? We're able to solve these really complex issues with both creativity and criticality. So we can critically think it through, and we can think it through with our creative brain as well. And that's where the big breakthroughs come from, and that's what we want to happen. So as we're thinking about that, that's initially in the design. How are we designing that? We actually use, what's kind of fun is, let's come back up here, is we have And as we're looking at this, let me make myself a little bit smaller. What we've built is Desi. Desi is our design assistant. And as well, like I love what it says right here. Desi is an AI instructional design assistant. And this assistant, we use it for our work, but it's also in the MSIDT, the Master of Science in Instructional Design and Technology program as well, because people getting that degree need to be able to work with an AI assistant to make the best possible learning experiences that they can. So like we say here, it's our hope that you use Desi to help you with much of the coursework that you complete. So it's not just going to give an answer. None of our assistants do that because that does not create durable learning. But Desi is designed to engage in conversation with you and act as your assistant. So think about an assistant. If you have a human assistant, they're really good when they have all the context that they need to make decisions with and help you understand stuff. So the more context that you can give Desi, the better data that you get back. So as you have this conversation back and forth, you fine tune what you're going to do, fine tune, and then you could go into any of the different things such as Canva. Well, Canva is great when they have a lot of AI within Canva, and you could use that AI to help you create whatever you came up with Desi. So, but I love this. It's not designed to regurgitate content back to you. It is designed to help talk through whatever the process is. And all we have to do is click Desi, then it brings to Desi. You ready to dive in? Are you ready to start designing and learning? So this is what it looks like right here. You ready to start designing and learning your content? Yes. Can you help me? Let's say I need to create a job aid. Create a job aid. And then it'll think. And then it's coming, of course, I'd be happy. Could you please provide more details about the task process? So just the simple act of going back and forth, that helps the designer, the student, anyone engaging with this to think things through, use their critical thinking skills, and then comparing what they get with what they're thinking. And that helps their both critical thinking and creative thinking as well. So that's how you can use these design assistants to help you help the students learn more. So as you create content, you have these great, even if you're an in-person instructor, face-to-face, in person, you can have these things when students are not within your course and they're interacting. And you can train a good GPT, like you could train a Nectar assistant to act very much like yourself within the classroom and give it all the content, train it with everything that is needed. Because what is interesting here and what the key is for the design or for the personalized learning is the prompt. Knowledge is any of the content that you want to put into it. And that brings us to ethics as well. Are we putting in copyrighted material? No, we're not. We're putting in content that's open and available to go into the GPT. We are not breaking any copyrights. We're not doing anything that's questionable with that. But the prompt is the key. You are a friendly, helpful instructional designer assistant helping instructional designers, IDs, plan and create lessons and professional development course. Your tone is friendly but professional and you're concise. First, introduce yourself, all that, and then it just basically has you walking through and giving all of that back and forth, because here, when discussing aspects of the course curriculum, use a Socratic approach. So go back and forth, and then back and forth again. So that is how you can use AI within your lesson planning, within your design. Figure out what would it be good for in there to help create more durable learning, to help create active learning. Come up with a list. Use Desi to help you create that list. That's a brilliant way to go. And as you further articulate or further go back and forth with Desi or the assistant of your choice, then you can say, okay, I'm teaching a course, then you put it in, here's the description of the course. I need active learning scenarios to help with, and you put in a learning objective, and then it will give you different ideas, and you go back and forth, because remember, it's that interaction is what makes it beneficial. And that is the same whether you're designing the course or your students are using it. Because when they are using it, we will go to our history course really quickly just to show you one. So we have a reconstruction. So during the Reconstruction era, let's get started. Are you ready to go? Or even a more fun one. I forget which one was the fun one, but we'll talk about the Reconstruction era. So I don't even know. How do I start? This one, so they have directions in the course. Then they're going to come to the Reconstruction era Think, Pair, Share direct link. Great question. Starting Think, Pair, Share activities. What is the message, the purpose of the source? Who created it? How does it? Feel free to share in primary source. Oh, what primary source should I use? And they would have all of this information within the class already, but I'm just doing this to show you that it can start even if somebody doesn't pay attention to the directions. Oh, the 15th Amendment, the Freedmen discussed post-emancipation life, Jordan Anderson's letter to former enslaver, Mississippi Black Code, Frederick Douglass on remembering the Civil War. So you can pick any of those. So let's just start with the 15th Amendment. Let's go with the 15th Amendment. And then now the student's going to interact, go back and forth. They're going to learn. And because they have to go back and forth, they're given historical context, purpose of the impact, creator's perspective. So that back and forth now is creating that active learning. And that's what's making it personal. So if I was to ask a question, I would get a specific answer. It is generated by the technology, right? Because GPTs, generative pre-trained transformers, don't use canned information. They generate the information. So now it's becoming personalized and individualized to the questions I'm asking, what I would need to know, and to get me better at what I can do. So that's why a lot of times, well, not just a lot of times, I wasn't showing that on the stage. My apologies. So here is what it looks like here when we're going through that social, political, historical context. It's all here. And the critical element for this is that when you give this individualized learning in a place, now they're going to share out what they know. So we're using artificial intelligence on the job. We're using it in life, in our banking, shopping, everywhere. Now is really letting the student know, let's critically think and see if what we're being told by this agent, by this assistant, is true or not. So now we're teaching the student even better critical thinking, because you could say, hey, it hallucinates sometimes. Be on the lookout. In the history course that we just looked at, we have one. We actually have a low stakes assessment. We call it is find out what's not true. What did the assistant get wrong? And they go through the assignment. They find out what's wrong within that. One of them is a picture where it added something that wasn't correct, and the student goes through and they find what's not correct in that picture. So there's so many amazing ways that you can use these GPTs, these assistants, to really help create that more durable learning through active learning. Because remember, learning is a byproduct of the interaction with the content. And that's really key for us to know. So let's jump in now and look at the ethics about it. So what is the ethics? So if you have an ethical question or dilemma, post it in the comments. Leave it, if you're not going to do a live, leave it for us to respond to asynchronously. And as we're thinking about ethics, the big thing is data, right? Who are you sharing data with? And that just means make sure that whatever tool you're using is compliant. We might say, well, how am I supposed to know that? Well, your IT department, HR, make sure you clear whatever tool you use with the proper authorities within your organization. Like what I said at LAPU, we use Nectar. That went through and was tested, and it is FERPA compliant. That's why we use Nectar for all of our interactions and our assistants within our classrooms. We have them in every single course. When we first started, we had a an assistant, a course assistant that was trained on everything in the course. We create a lot of the content for the course, was trained on it, and students were able to, hey, when's this assignment? And the GPT is able to tell when, kind of give a different perspective on the assignment, explain things sometimes. And now that's the baseline, right? So the baseline is course assistant now. And what is incredible is at the speed of which that became the baseline. Now the expectation is to have these interactive components within the course to create active learning. And that's really important, because when we have that active learning, what happens from that? Well, what happens from that? Durable learning. They're able to retrieve that information and use it in creative ways with their critical thinking to solve these complex issues. And that is what we want our students to be able to do. So if you use it for your lesson planning, use it to create individualized and personalized learning, but make sure that you clear everything with your organization to make sure that it meets the ethical standards of your organization, ethical standards of everything. Make sure it's accessible. Make sure it's not sharing information and a whole bunch of other stuff. So I would not personally make that decision on my own. I always go to the people who know much more about that than myself. Well, remember, as you think about it, remember our case competition that's happening. That is going to be an absolute blast. Up to a team of one, an army of one, or up to a team of 4 can join. There is a $50 entrance fee for it, but there is a $500 first prize, $300 second prize, and a $200 third prize. And also the AI in Action Conference. And I forgot to mention that the AI in Action Conference is free. There is no charge to come to the AI in Action Conference. Feel free to utilize that QR code. And if you want to, if you haven't spoken at a conference, or you have spoken at a conference and you would like to do a 15-minute dive for this, or a 5-minute flare, because this is a different kind of conference. We're getting right to the good parts. It's kind of like having a cupcake where you just eat the frosting and the top of the cupcake. That's what our AI in Action Conference is. We are eating the top of the cupcake with the frosting. So I look forward to seeing you there. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments section.